Greetings, family. Greetings, and welcome to the Art of Rising. We're here giving you the codes that you may need to get you through your daily life. And we're always about the high vibration and bringing on quality people on the show. So, of course, without any further ado, we have another great brother that's with us here. Brother, please introduce yourself. Tell us where you live and what are you doing with yourself these days?
Thank you, Omziel. I appreciate you having me on. Very, very cool. I think we're going to have a great discussion. My name is Daryl Dittmer, and my most recent iteration of my life is an author. But I've gone through, I guess, several iterations of my life, and you know, the earliest being when I got involved in drinking and drugs, and you know, grew up in the Midwest, and it was just seemed like it was a part of what we did. It was the 80s, you know, everybody was kind of doing something, and I went a little harder at it than many, and there were a small group of friends that, you know, we just the friends that didn't do it that hard kind of dropped away, and the ones that kept doing it, you know, and getting basically living a life of lying, cheating, and stealing. And that was how we began, or how I began my journey, you know, through my teens, and it progressed. And finally, when I was 19 years old, I was fortunate enough to go into a drug and alcohol treatment program, inpatient for 30 days. And I got sober, and, you know, my life has been about being better and being resilient and moving myself forward ever since. And it's been just an incredible journey.
Amazing. Wow. You know, I'm going to start calling you twin, right? I've been down that dark road. I mean, darker and farther than most people that I know. And I'm just grateful that I have this opportunity to continue and building this thing that we're doing here at Omziel. It's all about that resilience. Yes. How hard can you go? Like, raise up, get the levels up, you know? So you said Midwest, where about?
I grew up in Michigan. See the little Lions thing back behind me over here. I was born in Detroit, and then when I was 13, we moved out to the country, a little town called Dexter, which is out by Ann Arbor, which is why I have that. It's a little beat up. I need to get a new mug, but we'll take care of that when time allows. But anyway, yeah. So that's from whence I came, and that was a place where it was, you know, it was all about, I grew up with the Protestant work ethic. My dad was a mechanic. You know, I was put to work early. You and I talked a little bit before we started, and, you know, my first real job was my dad put me in front of this dude at church. He was a farmer. My dad said, "Can you put him to work?" And I was 14 years old, and the guy said, "Yeah, I can put him to work." And he did, and it was farm work, and it was, you know, 10, 12, 14, sometimes 16 hours a day. And I started off at $1.50 an hour. So, you know, it was, but whatever, it was just the way it was back then. So I was infused with all of these sort of Midwestern values and religion and all that kind of stuff. Very strict upbringing, I would say. And I have no qualms. I have no regrets. I you know, it just was what it was. And now my life is completely different from whence I started.
It's strange how our upbringing is the one that affects us, right? Because they say, like, the first 7 years of your life basically is building your character, right? Some traumatic events that happen to us that are pushed upon us, right? Because I usually tell brothers, don't walk around with guilt and shame. You were young, and some of those things that happened to you, they took advantage of you because you were younger. That's it. You have nothing to be shameful about, you know. But I could see that, you know, you growing up there led you to some other groups of people, right? So when you say that you went pretty hard on some of those things, was that there in Michigan, or was it like in the smaller town?
It was in the smaller town. Yeah, it was. You know, I had my first time I drank. I think I was 13. You know, which I think is a pretty similar story for a lot of people. Some people say, you know, hey, I started when I was 8 or something like that.
Yeah.
Really? How'd you pull that one off? But 13, I took my first drink and I almost got my butt kicked by a kid who was in high school. And he was, I would say I was fairly docile at that time. And didn't want any trouble, that sort of thing. But I drank and I kept throwing peanuts in this kid's drink, who was kind of this, athletic high school kid. He was, a few years older than me. And I kept doing it, and he kept getting angry and telling me to stop. And finally he put me up against the wall. And at that time I wasn't prepared to defend myself. So that was the first time. But I loved it. I loved it. And because it took away that insecurity and that mask that I didn't know I was wearing, and all of those things that made me feel not good about life and about the world, and all those things, they just kind of got stripped away. And I pursued that with fervor, from that point on.
Yeah, that's why I was calling you twin offline, like, because I've done that too. Like, push it, just go, man, hard. That's why I always knew that I'd be successful in anything I do. Because if I can get up at like 4:00 in the morning with no sleep and go cross town, take 2 trains and a bus, and then walk another 20 blocks to the guys to score something, and then come back, like, then I could do anything, right? I'm successful. That's it. That's what I am. But tell me more about that, like that lifestyle that you were living, in those small towns, because I would imagine that there's probably not a lot to do in those places other than drink and.
There aren't. And it's interesting because, it was hanging out with friends. It was all, it was dirt roads, it was back roads, it was farms, it was, like that kind of an environment. So it was an interesting place to grow up, but we just wanted to hang out. We wanted to, and I worked on one farm, and the guy that I worked with who owned the farm, his dad had been, died in a farming accident. And I'm not sure when, but he was fairly young when that happened, this farmer, and he had issues with drinking and drugs. And so we would all sort of converge there. And there was this big bulk tank of milk. This was a dairy farm, and we hang out there and drink grain alcohol and smoke dope and do whatever else, lines and this and that. And just it was the weirdest thing, because it was a farm. It was odd, but that was what we did. And it was interesting, because this guy, he was a cool guy, and I really looked up to him, because and he just seemed like he knew a lot of stuff, but he would leave on a tractor in the morning and come back at the end of the day and then down a case of beer, and just like, okay, got to put you to bed, dude. Like,
wow,
it was just weird. But that was the environment. And we didn't have cell phones, so it's not like your mom could text you. She couldn't find you.
Right.
We would just take off and do whatever for however long, and
Wow.
sorry, we didn't make it back. But like that sort of a lifestyle. And the other thing is I did a lot of petty criminal crap, but it was a small town, so everybody knew the cops. They knew us. You know what I mean? It wasn't like someone we didn't know and they're just going to throw you in jail. I was told many times, we should throw you in jail, but they didn't, and so that probably didn't help my cause any.
Right.
From a consequence perspective. So that was the environment.
Do you think you were like running from something or trying to supplement something that was missing? I mean, looking back, hindsight, right? 2020, I can see it all now. We're having trouble looking in the future, but in the back, so perhaps there was something, you think?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I don't, when I first got sober, and I'm digging around and inside me, I'm digging around inside me. I'm looking for things. What happened? How did I get to this place? How did I get to be a mess? And I found that I was a mess. And I didn't know how to process life. I didn't know how to process things that happen. I didn't know how to allow life to just come and go, which is what I do now. Life comes and goes, and I plug in. I plug in and do the best I can with me. My duty is me, but I didn't know that back then. I didn't know that I'm responsible for everything. And so I was spoon-fed this stuff, because if I was given it all at one time, I wouldn't be able to handle it. I wouldn't have been able to handle all of that input. So I got involved in the 12 steps. I looked at that. I look at that now as it's just a roadmap for living. The first step is the only one that talks about getting rid of whatever that addiction is. The rest of them are about improving myself. And so that's what I needed to do, was improve myself. But I didn't have tools when I was, 17, 18, 19. And then when I got the addiction, or at least the first addiction, out of the way, we could talk about other addictions anytime you want. When I got that out of the way, then it was like, okay, now I can work on the mechanism that was not functioning properly. And I had to learn how to get that functioning properly. That was my duty back then.
Yeah. For me, Daryl, I believe strongly that alcohol is the gateway drug. It's not the other ones that they're trying to tell you. No, it's that one right there. That's the one that opens you up. It lowers those, those defenses, like all those things that you're like, wait, hold on, I won't do that. Oh no, all those things could just come falling down. And then they offer you things like the streets. Like that happened to me too. They were there with open arms. Like, come on, try this. It's fine. It's good. Look, I do it, here. So why don't you talk us through 19 years old, right? Because your bio states that you had this transformation, personal transformation at the age of 19. Was it a series of events, or was it something in particular that started shifting?
A lot started shifting when I was introduced to a different way of life, and it it takes time. It definitely takes time, and I was, the two things that I got out of my time in treatment, one was hope that I could live a life where I didn't have to feel insecure. I could look people in the eye. I could have a conversation. I could just be a quote unquote normal person. I didn't have to be this scared little kid, which I didn't know I was a scared little kid at that time. But I found out since that I was a scared little kid. That's what I was. Trying to be tough, trying to be, all this, all that. But the bottom line is, if I'm trying to do all those things, that means I'm a scared little kid. So that's where I started out. And gathering the tools, talking about things like surrender, and allowing life to happen, and saying, humility. One of the first things I was introduced to was the fact that humility, another word for humility, is teachable. Me being teachable and not knowing all the answers. And I don't have to know all the answers. And life goes a lot better if I don't think I know all the answers, right? I mean, that's how it works. And that's how I found out that it works for me. So I was being introduced to these things, and I'll say one more thing about that. When I was less than a year sober, so before I was even 20 years old, my birthday's in December, and I got sober in January. So I was just 19. And I had a mentor, in the 12 steps, they call it a sponsor. I had a mentor, and his name was Bud. And, I grew up with that. My dad was a tough guy, mechanic, Korean War veteran. He was just a tough dude. I mean, I think he was a fair guy, but he was tough. You didn't want to piss off Dad. So that was that. And so I tried to adopt that. And, it was always like, work through the pain, you're not hurt if there's not a bone sticking out. You know, you just got to plow through stuff. And I'm like, okay, I can plow through stuff. And wrestling with everything, wrestling with problems. So my mentor, as I was wrestling with problems and he was helping me try to figure this whole thing called life out. And this goes to my book titles, but he said, Daryl, when you stop fighting, the fighting stops. And I was like, oh. Now,
Wow.
Did I get that? I probably got that about 0.5% at that point in my life. But my entire life since then has been the unfolding of understanding that, you know, when I can allow life to happen, as opposed to getting my grubby little fingers in there and trying to fix everything and control everything and make everything to my standards and whatever. That's where I get messed up. So when I stop fighting, the fighting stops, is the mantra, one of the mantras that I live by.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. You know, I noticed that here in the Western world, it's usually you're the man, you do it, go get yours and be tough and just go and get it, you know. But in Eastern philosophy, they always look for someone to help them, right? Because over here, especially in the United States, where would you find a guru or some, right? You would have to go probably like to the 12 steps and you'd get a sponsor, someone who has experience. But it's only when you do something like that, when you realize that there is more than likely a higher power than you that exists outside of you. It's this world is not revolving around you like that. No, it's not like it's your world. You're making it and all of that, you see. But it's only when we submit, when we allow someone to teach us and to show us, that's the only time we grow.
So true. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's for me, it was saying, you know what? I don't have the answers. I got my butt kicked. I'm done. I don't have the answers. I need help. And so I believe, and I truly believe that when I can accept the fact that I need help and say that I don't have all the answers, then the door opens for help to come. And I have to allow the help in, and I have to allow the help to help me. Because if I go back to, I got this, because I've done that several times in my life since I was 19 years old. I'm like, I got this, no problem. And then I get my butt handed to me again, you know, when I think I know what's going on. So I just decided, you know what? I don't know what's going on. I'm just going to live like that. And that's completely cool. And it doesn't mean, you know, I hang out on X a little bit, you know, there's a good community there of like-minded people. And I posted something the other day that was something like, you know, you can be humble and fierce all at the same time.
Right.
You know, I can take my life and move it forward in a very humble way. Knowing that I don't know, but I'm going to do the best I can with what's in front of me to be done at this moment. And that's my job. My job isn't to figure out the future. My job isn't to regret the past. My job is to do the best I can do for myself, which also allows me to show up in the world the way that I want to show up.
Right. For sure. We do men's retreats also, and I take men away. It's called the Wind Horse Rising Experience. And I take men away for like a weekend or sometimes like 4 days. We just had our first international retreat. Yeah.
Very cool.
Just amazing. Take guys hiking, went to a waterfall, ate great food, smoked great cigars, you know, like, but then a lot of deep work too. A lot of tears, a lot of screaming, a lot, bro, just letting stuff out. But I usually let, you know, brothers know that the same walls that you keep up to keep, you know, things from coming in is the same walls that you're stopping good things from coming in too. So you have to like lower those walls. You have to trust someone. You have to. You can't be like, nah, I got it. I'll do it. Nah, you have to find someone. I don't know. Maybe it's me. That's fine. But if it's not, I know other guys. Go to someone else or go online or something. But you don't have to walk around with that, the guilt and the shame. That was the big one for me, just walking around with guilt and shame. Like if I did that, that's where some belief systems, they go a little bit wrong, because you show up and you go, oh, you're no good. You're gonna burn for forever. Like, I just got here. I didn't do anything wrong, right? It's like, what's that about? Like,
Yeah.
But how about after 19, you started getting help, and then I guess you fell into some other things, right? Some other substances, and is that correct?
Well, no, I've been sober, alcohol and drugs ever since.
Okay. Okay, good.
So
Good.
from January 3rd of 1985
Wow.
forward, but when I was mentioning the other addictions, I was, I think about things like, and I've gotten myself involved in, I was addicted to nicotine, cigarettes and chewing, the Skoal, Copenhagen, whatever, that sort of stuff.
Right.
I forget what it's even called. It's been so long since I did it, but when I got sober and I started thinking about living, I went to college. Nobody in my family had ever graduated from college. So I decided to do that. I was fortunate enough to play basketball. I was pretty good in high school, and that was something that sort of kept me attached to reality. But all the guys on the basketball team were clowns like me. So after a game, it was just go wreck yourself and go wreck stuff, and so anyway, I wanted to start moving my life forward, and there were things that I got involved in sales. I don't know how the heck that happened. I got a criminal justice degree when I was in college. That's what I graduated with. And because I come from a very blue collar family, my brother was a cop, my grandfather was a cop, my other grandfather was a firefighter, dad was a mechanic, that sort of thing. So I thought, okay, cop, because that's what, a lot of people are doing. And but I decided I didn't want to do that. I thought, oh, maybe I'll go to law school. I decided I didn't want to do that. But I was pursuing life. I was going after life, and it was easy to become addicted to the work thing. Like, hey, I don't want to struggle financially. I want to have financial success, and so it's easy to go overboard with that stuff. So there were things that I needed to experience. But then when I was experiencing them, it's like, okay, I need to temper that one. I need to slow that one down. I need to chill a little bit. I need to understand, I understand how to quiet myself and quiet my mind and quiet my heart. And, those are the things that I do now. I still go hard at life. But I also, I marry that with the disciplines that I have in my life and the habits that I have in the morning, so that I can calm myself before I even start my day. And that's an important thing for me to do, because I have the personality of, yeah, let's go, man. Let's get it done. Let's, just go. And I kicked the crap out of myself doing that, for a long time. So learning to slow ourselves down, learning to slow myself down was crucial for me.
Yeah. You made a great, interesting point earlier about your mind. It's quieting the mind. It's always there, right? I always think of James Allen as a man thinketh. It has to do with the mind. Once I read that book, I gift many books, but that one, I've gifted it many times. I'm like, here, read this. Look, those thoughts you're having, they're not even your thoughts. You go, oh, I'm thinking. No, they're just thoughts. That's all they are. And there's a new word that has been injected into our conversations, which it's called epigenetics. Because for a long time, people thought, hey, well, that's just the way you are. But no, they're finding out like we can change things on a cellular level, DNA. We don't have to be like that. You always meet those people. I'm just like that. No, you're not. No, you're not. I don't get up early in the morning. I'm just not a morning person. What does that mean? Like, you just get up. Time is time. Time is here. It's now. It's always now. That's it. Like, get things done, man. So we push that here at Omziel very hard, brother. Very hard. So it's the mind. It's the mind. You have to quiet that. We call it the roommate, right? That we got that from the Untethered Soul. This one, right, by Michael Singer. Powerful book, powerful. It's like a roommate. If you had a roommate living with you and he was talking crap all the time, you would get rid of him. You'd be like, yo, listen, you're behind on your rent and you're filthy. Get out, right? But we don't do nothing about that roommate. We just let it tell us all day.
Yeah, and I think there's, we used to talk about it in the 12-step circles and the tables and whatever, having, and a lot of times that roommate is a real person that I'm talking to all day long because I'm pissed off or I'm upset or I'm, and I'm having these conversations in my head with that other person, and looking at it like I look at it like somebody else living rent free in my head, and that happens, right? I mean, that's part of the dysfunction and the unquiet mind. And I have to practice being quiet, and I think it's so crucial to think of my thoughts, so to speak, as they're just clouds passing through the sky.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
They're just moving through, and I can either try to grab them or change them or just allow them to float by.
Right.
And allowing them to float by is, for me, is the key. If I'm, I was first introduced to this concept by a book by Emmett Fox called The 10 Commandments, and I love Emmett Fox. He's beautiful writing, but he said, and I think this is so crucial, and he looks at, and it's not a religious book at all. I'm not a religious guy. But it's about looking at some of the rules for living in a different way, and what if, half of what's important is what's in here and half is what's in here. The mind can, the thoughts can just float by. If I attach emotion to that, then it matters. Then it can be harmful. Then it can be dangerous for me. But if I allow them to float by and I don't attach emotion to them, they just float by. And, those kind of things. And he also talks about, what's capable of, what am I capable of doing in this life has nothing to do with where I was born, who my parents are, what they did, what my brother's doing, what my sister's doing, none of that stuff. What I'm capable of is everything. If I choose to go down all those roads. I've chosen a lot of roads in my life, and I've had certainly a lot of failures, but I don't look at them as failures. I look at them as stepping stones, and I've had some successes. And those are just a product of doing the work. It's not anything other. It's not I'm special, I'm not smart, I'm not whatever. It's just me doing the work, me doing what's in front of me to be done, and continually exploring, finding things like As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, or the 10 Commandments, or Man's Search for Meaning, or whatever those books are, right? Like I have to continue to explore. I have to continue to open up new avenues and pathways and things for me to ruminate on and ruminate in the background, because it'll all make sense at some point. It's a cool unfolding, and I love that part of the journey.
Me too, brother. And we do a number of things here that help people in order to push them into the present moment, because we spend a lot of time like thinking about, oh, this guy, what he said to me, wait till I see him next week, and then it never turns out like that. Oh yeah, I'm like this, yeah, because my mom, because she, that's happened already. So we try to do our best to push people into the present moment. Like, there's something going on here. So I just wanted to take a moment. This is our commercial break right here. We're just interjecting that here at the Omziel Healing Sanctuary, Daryl, we work with breath work and ice. See, I I teach people about the breath work that is super powerful. It calms the mind, because it's really the frontal part of your lobe here. It's the one that's talking all the time. It's this one. It's our safety protocol. Whoever made us with this safety protocols, like don't run into a burning building, or don't, but then it's on overdrive, right? Oh, don't write that book. Don't start that business. Yeah, you might fail. Don't start that relationship. So we push people into the present moment, getting them into a big tub with a lot of water and a lot of ice. So we're having an event that's coming up on February the 22nd, and we're going to the beach this time. We're pushing people into the beach, right? Into the present moment. It's taking place at 11 a.m. We're going to Asbury Park Beach. And then after that, in the evening, we're having a cacao ceremony. So if you know anything about cacao, it has that innate ability to stimulate you, but calm you down at the same time. It's it's chocolate. That's what cacao is. It's a pure form of chocolate. So if you stay to the end of the podcast, we have a nice little gift for you in concerning those events right there. And that's my commercial. How was it?
Very cool. Yeah, very cool. So an ice bath. Yeah. Just to pull you into the present moment. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Feel it all.
When you're inside the water, you can't think, oh, did I feed the cat before I left the house? No. It's just with your breath. Just stay with the breath. It's incredible. I've been doing it for like 6 years. It's super powerful, man. If you haven't, add it to your arsenal of your regimen, of your daily activities, at least once a week, twice a week or something. You see the benefits is there. Like, there are placebos, which I'm not against placebos, because if it works, right? But there's science behind this. That's one of the reasons why I love it too. And I try to make it into my habits, my atomic habits, right? And you spoke about that earlier. So I like to hear about some of your things. When you get up in the morning, you say, I have to do these things because I notice that I can be this other way. So I have to implement these other habits. So tell us about that, brother.
Sure. Yeah. I look at it like it's my oxygen. It's what keeps me going, keeps me breathing, keeps me quiet. So I have a breathing practice called pranayama, which a great friend of mine, he's a pulmonary doc in Boston, just a great guy. And I'm actually going to have him on my podcast soon, which I'm very excited about. But
excellent.
So I do my pranayama practice, which is probably 20, 25 minutes. And then that prepares me, calms me, slows me, all those things for my meditation, which it's a primordial sound meditation, which basically just uses a mantra, which further quiets me. I have no idea where I go. I have no idea what happens. I just, I get this tingle down my spine, and then I know it's time to end that practice, which is a very cool thing. And then I think about what I'm grateful for. I spend a little time preparing myself, and the last thing I say after I go through all the things that I'm grateful for, is I move forward with a spirit of enthusiasm, excitement, and expectancy. I am at peace. And then I go into my day, and that includes exercise. That includes, eating the right way, treating my body the right way. Those sorts of things, which I think are incredibly important. We have a cold tub, by the way.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, let's go. Let's go.
But I haven't been in it yet because we just had this sort of barn built. It's a garage. It's got a lower floor, but we haven't installed the tub yet. And the reason I bought one is because I heard about all these benefits and all this great stuff, and because I have an aversion to cold. So I want to face that, and I want to train myself to do it, and be in those moments and use the breath work and all those sorts of things. So those are my habits and my disciplines, and those are the things I practice to allow myself to move forward. And they're just, even if I go a couple of days and I'm like, oh man, I've set that aside, go on vacation or whatever. It's easy to get right back to it, but I know when I'm not doing it because my days are different, and my days are the same. I'm different. I'm different. How I approach the world and how I approach life is different. And is it different by a huge amount? No. But once you're doing this stuff for a little while, the little changes matter because it's the little stuff, right? Nobody ever tripped over Pikes Peak. It's always the little things and the little things inside me.
Right. That's the Compound, right? There's another book I can't remember. It's Compound something or other. That's a great one also. Banks know about this, right? They're taking like 2%, 3% from you. You go, oh, that's nothing. Yeah. After 5 years, yeah, from everybody. Yeah. So it's the compound effect. That's the name of the book. And I did want to mention also about books. We push books heavy here at Omziel. In fact, there is a private library that I have, a folder that I share with people for free, and they're stacked with audiobooks and PDF books. And I tell people, like, read, man. When I meet somebody, I don't ask them, hey, what do you do? Because this is like, what do you do? Oh, I'm a carpenter. Like, what does that matter? He's not going to give me like 10% of his income, right? It's better to ask him something like, what's your favorite movie? At least if you want to get to know the person, But I always ask, like, hey, what book are you reading? That way you can see where their mind is. And for me, books are like a window. You get to open it up and look inside, look out, and you go, wow, this is another world over here. And they have helped me. Like I mentioned Atomic Habits, right, by James Clear. This is another one that helped me big time also. It's your habits. Like for instance, we're made up of our habits. When you get up in the morning, Daryl, what's one of the first things? What is the first thing that you do?
I read. My current book, by the way, is Myths to Live by Joseph Campbell. I love Joseph Campbell.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, he was a master. Definitely a master. Talked about the hero, right? The hero's journey and those type of things, and Indra's Jewel, and like all of that, all of these, so-called, I don't like to call them myths because people lived and died by those stories and stuff like that. So they were true, just the things that we believe now. We don't know what's going to happen in 500 or 1,000 years. It'll just be a myth that what we believe in these days. We don't know. But Joseph Campbell, so you read for how long?
It's funny because this is sort of an aside, but I get a kick out of it because I would read in the afternoon after I've done my day, and I'm, and then I start falling asleep while I'm reading. I'm like, I just like, oh man. Yeah. But if I read in the morning, I'm frosty. I'm right there. I'm ready to rock and roll. So it could be anywhere between 30 minutes and an hour.
That's great.
Reading in the morning.
That's great.
Basically the first thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Our minds are open. That's why I also tell people too, pay attention, be careful. The first 20 or 30 minutes of your waking hours are crucial. That's the one that sets the tone for your day. People get up in the morning right away. They run to their phone and Instagram, Facebook, and they go, what? No, don't do that. Stay away from that. They make it like that. It's like heroin. Yeah. They keep it just like whoever built it like that. Just stay away from it. Wait till later. Wait till 9 o'clock, 10. Like I love airplane mode. I've been loving the airplane mode, man. Boop, airplane mode. That's it, bro. I'll leave it right there, bro. So then.
Yeah, I because of my books and stuff, I do engage on social media, but it's it's interesting because what am I putting my emotion into? That's what matters for me. What am I allowing to affect me and my life? And I engage in social media, but I don't engage in politics. I don't engage in religion. I don't engage in social media battles. I don't care what anybody else believes. The only time I care what somebody else believes is they say, Daryl, I need help. Can you help me? And then we'll talk about what's your stuff,
Right.
how do you go about your days? What's your life like? What's going through your mind? Who are you, what do you believe? Who are you arguing with? What do you think about, this and that? And so that's the only time I care what somebody else believes. My only, what I say to people is when they say, well, I believe this and this and this, I say, well, is it working?
Right.
Because it may not be working,
Right.
The belief might be like you said earlier. The belief might be, well, my mom was like this, so I believe this, or this is the religion I grew up with, so this is what I believe, which are all fine if they're working.
Right.
But if you're not waking up with a smile on your face, there's a real possibility that they're not working.
Right.
So I just, that's sort of what I adhere myself to.
And then I see that you've accomplished quite a number of things, and we love books, right? One of the reasons is because when I was a kid and I looked at books, I was like, look at all these words that are in here. Who put these words here? Like, that's a lot of thought that went into this thing that I'm holding in my hand. And then if it helped me, I'm like, I'm even more impressed, So you've written some books, and we have to get into that, man, because I just got to know. I put one of them there, which I love the titles. When I Stopped Fighting, The Unexpected Joy of Getting My Head Out of My Ass. I love that. I love it, man. Tell us about it, brother.
Thank you. The first book is here's how it sort of happened or took place. I didn't get married till later. I was in my late 30s. And when I had met my to-be wife, I would tell her stories about my past and things that, I had done. And, like this, she's like, man, that's not the guy I see in front of me. Like, that's not you anymore. And I said, you're right. It's not me anymore. Remind me to write a book someday. So that was kind of how it happened. And my life now is about helping people based on my stories. And that's what's important to me. So the first book is my stories. It's addiction, dysfunction, losing, having issues, getting in trouble, all those sorts of things. And the internal turmoil that was happening in me, which is the most important part, because we all have stories, right? We all have stories. And we all have stories about stuff that we did, like, oh, I did this. Oh, well, I did that. Oh, wow, I never did that, and so I can't relate to some of the stories that some people tell me, and some I can, but I can relate to the internal turmoil. I can relate to feeling fear and feeling anxiety and feeling completely insecure and just, not feeling worthy and all of those things. And if you've been embroiled in any addiction, whatever it is, gambling, food, sex, drugs, alcohol, whatever, you know what those things feel like. And so that's what I try to relate in my first book is my stories, how they hit me. And then, I start talking about sobriety and recovery and taking risks and learning and exploring and what helped me, what helped work for me. One of the most important things, and I'm just going to say this because I think it's crucial, is, I've got a good amount of reviews and I think both my books are 4.8 reviews or something like that on Amazon. But one person said, and this is the most important one to me, is she said, these books are not full of refreshingly free of self-help jargon, which made me really freaking happy.
Yep.
Made me really happy.
Yeah.
Because it's not a you must, they're not like you have to do this kind of books or, here's how to live your life kind of books. They're just like, look, here's what happened to me. There's a lot of funny stories. There's a lot of stupid stories. There's all kinds of, stories, but here's what happened. And here's how I felt. And here's how I changed my life with the hope that somebody can relate to some of those things and change their life too.
Yeah, I see that there's a lot of thought that you put into it, and you poured your soul into this, man. And um, yeah, I see the title is "When I Stop Fighting." When I stop fighting, it's like, yeah, people are out there just fighting. They're just struggling. Like, you might want to stop fighting. Think
Well,
about that.
yeah, no, 100%. I'm sorry to cut you out there,
No,
but
no
but
worries.
the fight is, you know, I was fighting drugs and alcohol. I was fighting my
Mm,
parents. I was fighting police. I was fighting
mhm,
people. I was fighting
mhm,
all that stuff. But the real fight is
mhm,
fighting me. I was
mhm,
fighting me. And that's what it's about. It's the fight that I was having with Daryl.
mhm,
And
mhm,
how did I quell that fight? And how did I change that fight into something different, something where I'm not fighting, where I'm allowing? And
mhm, mhm.
that's the crux of what my first book
Yeah.
and actually my second book are
That's
about.
powerful. I'm looking forward to reading it and sharing it with people, and gifting it as well. I remember there was a book years ago too, and I might still have it actually. It's called "I'm Not My Fault," and in the beginning was basically telling you that his struggles, what he was going through, he found out that whatever junk was happening with him, he's walking around like, I'm such an asshole, like, I'm just an evil guy, and then he started, hey, wait a minute, I'm not my fault, like, I'm a product of my environment, and this is how I responded to some of these things. Now I see that they're incorrect, and I'm going to do things about it. And then he talks about sobriety and things of that nature. It's not a very big book, so, and it helped me, just that part of it, like something, the light bulb went on, like, bing, oh wow, I thought it was, yeah, I thought it was me, like, and it's not.
Mhm.
So now you got the first book under your belt, and then you come in with the second book. When you stop fighting, right? The road you're on is your own asphalt. I love these titles, man. Wow,
Thank you.
that just jumps right out. Yeah. Tell
Thank
us
you.
about this one.
And this book is so I started writing when I finally made a decision to write. It was just after COVID. We got done with that madness, and we decided to move. We had some business interests and some property stuff. We lived up in the Northeast, and we said, you know what, we're just going to change. We're going to change our lives. We're going to, we weren't running from anything. We were just, you know what, we need to change. We're going to do something different. So we moved down here where we live now, which is it's just a beautiful place. But and we're so happy. But I decided at that point, I'm like, you know what, no more excuses. Just write your freaking book. And so I started writing my first book, and that one, once I started writing, and again, I'm a maniac. So, I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm in my robe in my office, just, clanking along on the computer. And this stuff is just pouring out of me because it's my stories. I don't have to think about it. It's just my stories. And so I'm thinking, oh, wow, I forgot about that story. I forgot about that story, and I'm clanking all these things down. And so it was about 3 months I wrote my first book. And then I just kept going, and I kept writing. And my wife's like, "You got more, man?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think I do." And so it was another 2 or 3 months, and I had written my second book. So, and that book is about what we all want, I think, from this life, which is, it's peace of mind, it's maybe financial security, meaning or purpose, to have great relationships, all those sorts of things that we want. And, I refer to it as our wish list. It's the stuff we want from this life. And, the cars and the homes and all that stuff isn't going to get us what we want. What's going to get us what we want is what we do in here. And so that's where the book starts. And it talks about, what are some of the things that might be stopping us? What might be stopping us from getting to our wish list? And it could be, addiction to social media. It could be sex, drugs, gambling, whatever. But recognizing what might be stopping us, because some of us don't think about those things. We don't think about, like, wow, I'm spending 8 hours a day on social media. Why do I feel unfulfilled? Why do I have a hole in my heart that's like this big? And so that's kind of, how it begins. And then it's about, okay, what do I need to do? And really, I'm a big fan of a principled way of living and developing disciplines and developing habits, not waiting for motivation to go to the gym, but disciplining myself to do, for me, it's my breath work, and it's my meditation, and it's my exercise, and it's my gratitude, and all those sorts of things. So what are some of the things we can do? And everybody's going to be a little bit different, and that's cool. Whatever works. Again, what is it that I believe now, and is it working or not? And can I shift those beliefs? Like you talked about, changing. I can change. I can change my cells. I can change many things about me based on what goes on in here and here. And that's really what it's about. And it's just kind of it talks a lot about, again, my experiences, but different experiences, and moving my life forward through exploration and through aligning with the principled way of living. The three principles that I align myself with, and that I probably, think about the most, are honesty. And that has nothing to do with not telling your neighbor a lie. It has to do with, am I being honest with me about my life and what's going on and where I'm at? Honesty, humility. Am I teachable? Am I going through this life thinking I know what's going on? Or am I going through this life with some humility and saying, you know what, somebody please teach me? And faith, is there something greater than me out there? And for me, it's absolutely, I kind of suck. I'm just this little dude in this giant universe. And I don't mean that literally, but I didn't make my eyes see. I don't make my brain think. I don't make the planets move. I don't make the grass grow. There's got to be something bigger than me. Can I align my faith with something greater than me? And those are the three things that I carry. And that's kind of the direction of book number 2, is helping people to learn what the fight is within themselves and begin to gather the tools to slow down and eventually stop that fight.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, man. I love it. And in the title too, it says, the road you're on is your own asphalt. And that makes me think of, well, I'm creating this thing here, you see? Because like I tell a lot of brothers that too. Like, you like your life? You like it? Or you don't like it? You're making it. You're the one who's putting it together, bro. Nobody, oh, my dad, my job, the economy, the president. Did you see what they're happening in China and India? Bro, no, man. No, get off of that. That's what they're telling you and all that. It's you, brother. You're creating your own asphalt. Is that correct?
That's 100% correct. Yes. And I look at, in my second book, I look at life as, okay, where's our trajectory headed? Where are we going? Are we going like this? And part of the concept of the book is to try to get ourselves heading toward true north. What is true north for us? What things can I gather to get my belief system in such a place where I'm working on me and my fighting and how I'm presenting to the world, and not working on the world. I can't fix the world. I got nothing to do with the world. I have everything to do with what I do, and that's why the road I'm on is my own asphalt, because it's about what I do, not what the world's doing. The world's going to do crazy stuff every minute of every day. But can I get out of myself and what I think is wrong long enough to give a smile to somebody on the sidewalk who might need it? Have eye contact with someone, help somebody I'm 6'6", help somebody reach something in the grocery store. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, what can I do to contribute to the world instead of wanting the world or demanding that the world and everybody in it contributes to me?
Yeah. Same here, brother. Same here. Same here. It took me a long time to figure some of these things out, but that's how I try my best to live my life too. I have my atomic habits too. I get up, I make my bed, and I drink, 16 ounces of room temperature water with Celtic sea salt and lemon, and sea salt every day. Sea moss, if you know what that is, Irish sea
Mm.
moss. I take sea moss for good gut health, and then I go running. I'm out and I'm doing 6-7 miles a day, and just recently I've been pushing the envelope. Like, come on, oh, you could do it. Let's go. You got to go more than 7. What is this, bro? 7? You need 13 or something like that. But then, other days or sometimes on the same day, I put in some yoga. I try to put in about 20 or 30 minutes, and then I do my breath work, about 15 minutes of power breaths with air retention, and then meditation. That's for me is like, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I mean, let's go, guys. I mean,
Great
some
recipe,
people like
man.
that. Oh man, I'm all
Beautiful.
about it, bro. I'm pushing it. I am pushing it. I'm pushing it for me because God or whatever you want to call made me like, this is a Ferrari. I'm sitting in a high performance vehicle. You see, so I want to put in good, high octane fuel in my stomach, as fuel, and I want to push my body. I want to see what it's about. Once I started getting clear from all of the other negative stuff that you spoke about too, I just started waking up a little bit, and then once I woke up a little bit, it's like, I want more. Where could I find more? And then like I started pushing my body, and I'm like, wait, I did that. What else can I do? Let me see. At least let me try. Let me try. Let me at least run farther or push those weights a little bit more. Go to the gym 7 days a week. Let me do it. Why not? Knock myself out. Let me try. See what happens. Maybe I don't like it. But I can't say I don't like it if I don't try it.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, I agree 100%. And I will say I'm gonna correct one thing, because the first thing I do in the morning, my wife and I do, we make the bed. So
Right. Right.
that is first.
Yep. Yep.
And I drink a glass of water. I don't put the sea salt in it, but it might start now.
Let's go, brother. Let's go. There's science. There's science.
And I do the it's 24 ounces of water. That's what I start with, and then I do my matcha green tea, but I put lemon in that, and I put a little honey in that as well. So that's
Nice.
kind of how I
Right.
crank it up. Sea moss,
Yeah.
I'm going to look into now because you mentioned that to me.
Exactly. It's we sell it. We make it here too, and it's one of our offerings. But it's harvested off the coast of Jamaica. It has to be harvested in the ocean because it's a seaweed, and those waters are pristine. It grows here in Florida too, but with all the boats and oil, ain't nobody want that. But you get it pristine. They take it out the seaweed and they dry it, and then they ship it, and then you reconstitute it with water. You allow the water to make it come back. It starts getting thick like that, and then you blend it with water, and it's a gel. You could use it as a topical thing, but there's a gentleman that passed on. His name was Dr. Sebi.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like
A
they
bad
got him.
man.
Oh, that guy was a bad MF.
Bad man.
He's
Yeah.
the only one who won a Supreme Court case. A Supreme Court case, saying that he was curing cancer. And they were like, nah, you can't say that. You can't say that. In this country, it's like, nah, you can't say that. And he got like 100 people coming in, not with testimonies, with proof from the doctor saying he had this and now he doesn't have it, like that. So the guy was on point. There's another woman too. Her name is Barbara O'Donnell, I believe. She's another one. They kicked her out of Australia, right? Because she's another one. She was helping people, and they was like, "No, you got to go." But she's the one who put me on to that in the morning with the Celtic sea salt. You could use sea salt, Himalayan, pink salt. You could use that too, But the Celtic sea salt, you put a few grains under your tongue and a few on top, and let that sit for like 30 seconds. And then put a little bit more in your water, and a nice wedge squeeze of lemon, and it helps to alkaline your body, right? Because that's what Omziel, that's what one of the things we're all about, is like helping you to alkaline your body, because we're too acidic. That comes from the foods we eat. We eat too many animal products, milk, cheese, those type of things. It causes a lot of mucus in our body, and it causes inflammation. That's where the cold plunge comes in, brother. Because so I'm looking forward to hearing about your cold plunges.
Me
So
too.
the cold plunges, it keeps the inflammation down. So something like about 85 or 90% of all sicknesses come from inflammation. So it's part
Right.
of the regimen. You lifting weights, you're running and all that. Cold plunge. This is the package, man. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to going to your place. I'm going to be leading some people into that cold plunge.
Cool. Yeah, we've got a infrared, far infrared, and near infrared sauna too. We just had put
Oh,
in. So,
perfect,
yeah,
perfect. So where exactly are you located?
we're in Georgia now, in North Georgia. We're right up against the Tennessee-North Carolina line. It's in the mountains. It's right at the end of the Appalachian Trail, but it's one side of our house. We can see about 30, 40 miles. And the other side of our house, we're just up on this mountain. And the other side of the back side of the house, we can see, I don't know, 30, 40 miles as well. And we watch
Wow.
the sunset in the
Woo.
mountains, and we watch the sunrise in the
Ah,
mountains. It's pretty cool.
it's beautiful. That sounds amazing. I have a brother that lives over there too. He just moved there recently into Georgia. Can't remember the town exactly, but it's a little bit north. So you're gonna be seeing me soon, brother. I'm coming up there. I'm
Come
coming for
on,
you.
man. Come on. We're here.
Let's go. Let's go. All right. So where can people find you?
The best place to find me, I guess, is my website, which is Daryl Dittmer, DarylDittmer.com. My books are both on Amazon. So if you just type in either When I Stop Fighting or When You Stop Fighting, you'll find the books, or you type in Daryl Dittmer, you'll find the books. And I spend some time on X. It's a pretty cool community of people who are, like-minded, seeming they want to grow. And I have some book stuff on there. And my handle on X is at Daryl E. Dittmer. So it's DarylDi, Daryl E, DarylEDittmer.com. Those are probably the best places to find me. I also have a podcast, which you're definitely coming on. Oh, I can't wait. And that's YouTube, Spotify. It's called When I Stop Fighting, the podcast.
When I Stop Fighting. Those beautiful names, brother. You've experienced quite a bit of success. I could see that. Where you've come from, and you got your books out, and you got the podcast. You're living in a beautiful place. Yeah, man. If you're open to it, let's do some things, man. Let's do it. Let's
Love
do
to.
it. I'll come
Would
up
love
there,
to.
man, and we'll do a thing and put people through the breath work and the ice, man. Just push. Let's go, man. We're all about that here, bro. So
Very cool.
thank you. I'm just
Very
gonna
cool.
put you in backstage for a moment. I want to continue talking with you while I close up here.
Cool.
Okay, hang out, brother. There you have it, guys. Wow, that was amazing, bro. Just outstanding. Check out his books, please. They're on Amazon, and I saw them. Very, very affordable. So, and the story is priceless. So, thank you so much. And oh, yes, you stuck around to the end of the podcast. We're having that event, the cold plunge in the beach, which we're going to give you our firecracker, which is a proprietary blend. Will heat your system up, and then also during the evening with the cacao ceremony, we want to give you $50 off of that. Just reach out to me. The code word is Dittmer, Dittmer. Just say Dittmer, and that's it. And we got you. We'll take good care of you. All right. See you guys soon. Peace.